Welcome back to another episode of Creating Trance in FL Studio. Today is episode 4, and we're going to focus on all of the synthesizers that FL Studio has. All right, let's dive right in. First, we're going to look at the Groove Machine synthesizer module. I have a basic chord rhythm setup here, which I have set up in most of the other plugins here, so we can kind of hear how they all sound right next to each other. But let's just play these patterns back first and take a listen. Kind of crazy. A lot of the synthesizers are set up similarly, but they all have their own discrete sound. Here we can do up to 3 wave shapes. There's pitch, fine pitch, the mixing, there's a phase. You can add more voices if you want to hold more keys at once. And then a filter cutoff, enveloping, LFO, a master envelope, an XY parameter that you can play with and actually change them to different things. One of the cool things about the Groove Machine synthesizer module is the glue. This will kind of bring all the sound to the ceiling of the spectrum, which makes it quite a bit louder. If we play this back here, we kind of lose it, but glue will stick it to the ceiling, which is a nice feature of that synth. All right, down to the Harmless plugin here. Let's just take a listen. This uses a dephased sob. You can really put a lot of different things in here. Go down to the triple saw, and by doubles and triples, they're just talking about octaves. But again, there's harmonics you can play with here. You can play with the waveform coming in here. Frequency cutoff using a filter, a couple of resonance settings, built-in phaser, a couple settings for that, and then a chorus, delay, reverb, and compression here at the bottom. Okay, so let's go to the Harmore mod, and we'll bring it up here. And I'm actually going to pick the Rachel template, and let's play back the pattern. This is my favorite part right here, the mod XYZ. It's really nice using this as a good build. Lots of fun. All right, let's move on down to the mini synth. Kind of a simple synth built originally for FL Studio Mobile. You use all these navigation buttons up top to go through the different settings. Let's take a listen though. Pretty simple, just using a bell waveform. Not really using any noise. Polyphonic voice mode, so you can do a lot of keys at once. And there's an envelope, a standard filter, which is fun. Standard filter envelope, the LFO rate if you wanted to actually kind of get a different effect out of that. And then at the end here we have delay, the feedback filter, and then the original mix level here. And then to access the templates, you would just click down here and pick another one. Okay, let's go down to the Poison and take a look at this plugin. Version 2. This one's a little more of an analog sounding plugin. Let's take a listen though to this pattern. Set up in a similar way to a lot of the other synthesizers in FL Studio. Just kind of has a more analog sound to it and look as well. Also notice there's a pattern sequencer and an arpeggiator that you can also play with. The Trance gate is fun, but if you get into the pattern movements, you can get really detailed with it. Okay, this is called the Sawyer. This is probably my favorite plugin. I have the Tropical Island template selected, but I like to put it down to 12 polyphonies because it normally comes at 24, which is a lot of notes at once. It sounds cool, but it will eat your computer's processor up really quickly. So let's take a listen to this one. Kind of has that real gritty analog sound that a lot of the equipment from the 70s and 80s had. This is the Toxic Bio. It has a lot of different settings that you can add in here. 5 oscillators and then an LFO over here. And then there's a grid for setting them and turning them up into the output channel. Let's take a listen to this Pad Pure Plane template. More of a big city sound here. You could really throw that around inside of a reverb channel. Down onto the Citrus. This is one of the most well-known synthesizers for FL Studio. And I have the rich string and cymbal template selected. Let's go ahead and play this back. Again, the XY mod windows are a lot of fun to play around in. They really help you get around having to use a filter, because it's most of the time it kind of is filter control. Citrus has a ton of presets though. This synthesizer can do a lot of work for you. It will kind of eat away at your CPU power, but if you can get away with routing properly, then you'll be fine. All right, let's go down to the Wasp XT. And let's listen to this one back. This is kind of an older synth. Sounds very waspy. These are normally very present, although you can give them a high cut. These are normally very present presets. There's lots of different presets in here you can play with, but not a whole lot of settings. Kind of comes with its discrete sound. Underneath it is the original Wasp plugin, which I'll play back here. Even more simple, but has that similar waspy sound to it. Okay, let's go down to the Plucked. This is kind of a guitar simulation synth, and it sounds great. Let's play this one back. 2 settings here, decay and color. Decay just kind of lets it sustain out a little bit more, then color will literally change the depth of the tone here. Brighten it up, cool it off. Very simple, but that always adds a great sound. The Sakura is kind of a Mandarin sounding synthesizer. Has a lot of different plugins in here, which you can click here and pull them up and go through them. Let's pick this and let's take a listen. This one's tuning is a little bit different. All right, let's find one that sounds a little more fun. Keyboard, harpsichord. The thing about this instrument is that you can take the dampening based off of 2 different chords and stiffen it up. It's a little bit different type of modeler. There's a whole resonation system over here based on the frequency. You can force only a certain frequency to resonate. And then we have the standard effects down here. LFO, amps, delay, chorus, reverb. An exciter over here. That's a very unique synthesizer, but it's always a lot of fun to play with. So the DX10 standard piano plugin, there's a couple presets in here, but let's just stick with the default and play this back. Yeah, it's a tiny sound, but that you can definitely get away with that in certain quieter sections of your song. Let's go down to the auto gun. This is always fun. Fairly simple plugin. I believe a lot of these you can go online and pull them down, but the preset window is only really found this way. Let's play one more of these. There's another thing down here called the magic. It's kind of a very narrow synthesizer, but a lot of people have modeled some pretty crazy templates for it. That would be a little bit of research online if you don't find the sound that you want in there. Okay. Let's get down to the Ogun synth. I have the Jupiter template selected, and let's take a listen to that. Kind of a splashier synthesizer. There are definitely a handful of synths in here that you can really play around with. I'm not going to change that one because it relies on the intro of this little section I set up. What I did here is I kind of put a lot of these together and try to keep the rhythm all lined up so that the chords move properly. The intro uses the Jupiter, and then most of it is all plucking. I use 2 chords, and then I go to 1 chord here, and then go back to the 2 chords. The citrus is up here, the nice, beautiful citrus. You'll kind of hear that flood right in. And then I tried to put it all together here. So let's play this back and take a listen and enjoy.